Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're here with Susan Saxe. She's going to be sharing with us 4 strategies for overcoming bewilderment and blues in your day. So starting your day off right. So go ahead, Susan, and you can begin.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're looking at the recording or whether you're live. I truly appreciate your time. And my intention is for each of you to go back with maybe one tidbit that you can use in your life that can really transform it. And so those days when you're starting off and your alarm clock goes, or if you have an alarm, it goes, and you're just dreading the day, or there's something that pops up in the middle of your day, that the bewilderment or frazzled mindset can stop, and you can share some, or you can share with your own self some of these strategies. So when I speak about starting your day, it's always pre-paving it from the night before. So when we start the day, right when we wake up, we can wake up happy, we can wake up anxious. There's so many different ways we can wake up. And I'll share with you something funny that my friend, a good friend of mine, said. She wakes up laughing. So you can only imagine what the rest of the day is for her. I think that's few and far between that end up laughing as they wake up. But pre-paving it really means to check your calendar the night before, look at your meetings, and set an intention for your next day or the week ahead. Sometimes what I do is I find a word for the week. So what's the word? The word might be blessed, or the word might be productive, or the word might be connected. Whatever that word is, it's sort of what we call our true north. And the true north is the word we've promised ourselves to stay in. So when we do that, we can really feel a good way that we're being as soon as we get up. But when we'll go back to going to bed the night before, I'll share with you a little bit about myself first. I was in several different industries before I found the industry I'm in, which is social marketing. And I jumped from job to job every few years. And as much as I loved the people, I never found a good fit. And I have a psychology degree, a degree to help women and children after that, or a year at George Brown doing that. And I just felt that I loved people, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't really find something that resonated for me back in my 20s. And then I was blessed enough to be introduced to an industry that really fosters personal growth. So I dove in. I also in my 20s, I was hugely depressed. I was very anxious. I really feared a lot. And just owning that now, I look and I go, what was that? Hindsight's 2020, right? We can look back and go, gosh, if I knew what I knew and I had the strategies. So hopefully if you're going through anything that's harder, you can use some of these strategies too to lift yourself up, and not just in the beginning of your day, but whenever. So when you go to bed too, what I found is a book called The Energy Bus. And in that, they speak about how golfers, and does anybody here golf? I guess I'll put you got a hand up. Okay, so I'm not a golfer, so I have heard that. And tell me, Deborah, if you agree with this, but I've heard that golfers really celebrate the one shot or the 3 great shots, or I guess I'm assuming it's par, or, if they putted really well, if they got a hole in one, the after that day, they'll think back to that great shot, right? They'll think back to, wow, I really did something great. But we are pre-programmed, typically not in the golf scenario, to go to bed thinking about all the things we didn't get done, the person we couldn't connect with, the person that slighted us, or whatever. Our predisposition as humans, unfortunately, in many ways, can be quite negative. So we can go and kind of bash ourselves as we go to bed, going, gosh, some of it's subconscious, some of it's absolutely not even known. So if we finish our day before we're starting the next with a success. So if we think of something that worked, so I had a great conversation today. Did I ever do my to-do list well? I really did well with my kid who was really difficult today. I actually did it, or whatever it is. And getting in the momentum and excitement of that feeling of success, when you drift off to sleep, that vibe stays with you for the 8 hours or the 6 hours, or hopefully you're getting at least 5 or 6 hours sleep with you that until you get up. So that's the pre-paving part. The big game changer in life is the strategy number 2. It's all about energy. If you are depleted in energy, you are depleting your entire professional or personal life. You can't be tired and be focused. You can't be tired and run down and be connected with uplifting people. It's like this. If you're tired and someone you're trying to connect with is high vibe and in the space you want to be, there's a gap. You're not going to connect. So you really have to lessen the gap so that you can meet these amazing people. And energy is one of the prime things. So you probably have heard of things like intentional living, conscious living. And I'll ask again if anybody wants to say this. I feel like I'm a teacher a bit. This feels weird, but put your hand up or comment if you'd like on if you've heard of sayings like conscious living, intentional living, high vibe, like lately in social media or anywhere. Has anybody heard of that often? Yeah. So this is really to allow us to evolve. This is to allow us to transform ourselves and get on a level of who we want to become. So if we're stuck down here, we've got to figure a way out to get the energy we need to get up higher. So when we start the day, and I'll ask if anybody's heard of the miracle morning, the 5 minutes in the morning. Yeah, awesome. So that's a really good one. Stretching, affirming in the mirror, doing gratitude, doing a little reading, all those things. And visualizing where you want to go is a really big win. And that was one of the things that got me feeling a lot better. And some of it, they even say it's 5 minutes. You can jot a pen down. What's your intention for the day? Take that one word. And let me just go around and ask anybody, what's your word? If I was to, without, and you can say pass, because some people are not extroverted and this would feel uncomfortable. So you don't have to say anything. But if you're open to sharing, is there a word in like 30 seconds of just sitting that gravitates to you, that you think, this would be a word that I would finish my week with? That's positive. Let me reframe that. That's a positive, uplifting word, not this sucks or anything. Kind of this week has been really good stuff. Anybody want to share?
Sure.
Gratitude.
Joyful.
Joyful. Awesome. I love it. High vibe for sure. Yeah. Anybody else?
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse. Yeah. Awesome. I like that. What does that mean for you?
It means that I've accomplished a lot and I'm driven and moving forward.
Fantastic. Good for that feels good.
Sorry, Maria, did you say powerhouse or did Deborah say powerhouse?
Me.
Maria said powerhouse. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say celebrate.
Yes. Awesome.
And for me, it's like threefold this week. My grandbabies turned 3 yesterday. My son turns 36 today. And celebrating getting back into the networking circle just this week because of the move and everything like that. So, yeah.
Hooray. Awesome. Thank you. Christine, you had a word too, right?
Yeah, for sure. My word for this week, and I actually wrote down my first nugget from you, Susan, is the word of the week. Like, that is such a great idea. So my word for this week would be connected.
Fabulous. And are you ever, Christine? Like, are you ever, right? Like, look what you're doing. Like, thank you. Honestly, it's huge. So moving forward, I'll just mention that it is really important both professionally and personally to have the energy that's required. So, and how we do that, there's one thing that's really transformed my life too, is exercise. So we always make time for what's important. And if you're not making time for it, it's because something else is infringing on that. So what I do also is what I recommend when you start your day, if you're feeling like you're not where you could be, let's say a 5 out of 10. And that is what I'm going to say, put yourself on a scale, not physically, emotionally, feelings wise, where 1, you're flat out awful. You feel really bad. And this is like, and then when you wake up, where are you on that? If 10 is you couldn't be better, like my laughing friend, right? That's laughing. Okay, so where are you, and what does that do? Take 5 minutes of quiet time to reflect on where you are. Put your feet on the floor and say thank you for your day. As soon as you get up, people don't have a day. Sometimes there's stuff, so say thank you, and then sit for a minute. Feel where you're at, the 1 to 10. If you're at a 2 in your day, you've got room for improvement, lots, right? So you can start to use some strategies too that we're talking about, or that I'll share with you again too. If you're a 5, you're still going to go up. And if you're a 9, the whole thing is keeping that way as for as much as you can. So as dips come in, taking that awareness, and I'll suggest that if you look up Dr. Joe Dispenza, his work on that we are physical, but we are far more spiritual beings. So if you take the almost the viewpoint, I'll say it a bit differently, but the viewpoint as of a friend who's looking in on you when you're feeling all frazzled, what would they be thinking? Instead of, oh my gosh, and getting all into that, you could actually put yourself in a friend's position and look in at yourself and go, okay, now what would I say to myself? Like, why am I doing this to myself? Because sometimes when we're in it ourselves, we're so immersed in it, we can't see, like, you know, the rope to get us out, to pull us out of that, right? The gunk. So just kind of remove yourself from that.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us too, being home alone with COVID and all the months of not having that person go, well, that's not that bad. Here, how about, you know, my husband always says to me, oh, come on, Chris, just coach yourself out of it. Pretend you're
Oh.
and what you would say to yourself. So that's a really good suggestion.
Yeah, so and that goes right into my third. Thanks, Christine. And you know what, I hear you with 3 teens at home, 2 fur dogs. It's been definitely an interesting navigating point, right? But I feel very blessed because the third one will help you with this too. Rewrite your story. Rewrite it fully. So, and what I mean by that, and there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can sit down with a book and design every day. Take 3 minutes to design your day. And I mean, go big. Pretend you're Christine and out of Nova Scotia. What would you be doing with all the time and the money in the world that you needed? Who would you be with? What would you be doing? And how would you be feeling? Get in that space when you start your work and when you start with your family on anything. You won't have the barrage gunk coming in at you nearly. You might have some here, but you'll be able to deflect it and go, okay, like you'll just be in that vibe to be able to allow more good in. So when you rewrite your story, there was a woman on, and I'll ask you guys, like, just shout out or whatever. Have you seen I think it was American Idol, when a woman got up, a younger girl, I think she was like 25. So this made me jealous. I thought, how does she know this? She got up and she had this book, and she was one of the top finalists in singing. And she got up with this, it was a handmade, almost like a binder, but it was like it was a book. But it looked very creative. And they said, how'd you do this? How did you get here? And she was right here. It's all in here. So she had written that she's going to be one of the finalists. She had written all of it to the T on how she would be feeling, who would be, when she would get there. And not to say that it's going to be on your timeline, but let's just say the power of words and the power of belief building starts with, I believe, with writing it down. So that's a big one. And replay that in your head when you feel bad. And I know, Christine, I feel you with the loneliness type of thing where we're sitting by ourselves. So these types of activities where we start writing, you never know who's going to call when that happens. Like, you're in a different space when you do this. Like, trust me on this, like, people will come in, and part of it makes you laugh. Like, there's things that I look at now where I'll have said something and someone else will say the identical thing in a funny way. And I wish I could remember that exactly what I'm referring to, but it's just what we think about, we bring about. So
absolutely.
It's really big.
I have a great example of that. This spring, I was starting the 100 Women Who Care Mississauga chapter, and I was just like, oh my goodness, there's going to be so much work. And I had the great Maria as one of the graphic designers and one of our steering team committee, but I just felt like looking at my to-do list, like, how am I going to get through this? I need to get some more interns. And that very afternoon, Glennis from our group posted, hey, high school students can't go work anywhere. I'm looking for you guys to help out. Who has an intern opportunity? I was like, what? Yeah, I ended up getting 3 interns.
It's like, I love that. And then you just smile and do your gratitude, right? That it was so easy. Like,
However, the $1 million tree in my backyard hasn't come up yet.
well, it's consistency, right? So the one thing I was going to say also is that whatever I mention here, it only helps if you actually practice it. Like, we can all get this, and we all go, I don't know if you guys do this, but personal growth seminars, books we read, but until we implement what we've heard, it won't matter. You're right, it can't work. So when I hear people go, well, it never works for me. Well, have you tried it? Like, have you set even 3 weeks to try it out? Because these things are transformational. And I think, and there's a lot to do with like gratitude journaling too. So I'll go on to the next one that I have too, which is, what part of your life feels like you'd want the change right away? Like, what's hardest right now? Because unless you actually get really aware, you can be in denial. Like, if your relationship isn't working, or your kids are frustrating, or your job isn't producing what you thought, or your business, whatever the one key thing is, we know that ultimately impacts every other area of our life. We're holistic, right, in nature. So if we don't like dive into what we want to change, we can't change it if we're not aware of it. So the awareness is key. And what I was going to do, Christine, if there was a bit bigger group, but we can even say now, if we're open, we can say sort of what area, if you feel comfortable sharing, and that's up to you, what area you'd like to work on, or what you feel is that. And this was going to I was going to do this again in breakout rooms because it's a little bit more personal. But on that subject, we'll discuss sort of something to do about it after we sort of identify it. So if you want to write it, if you prefer to write it rather than speak it, that's okay too. I know for me, it's schooling with my kids. I'll just be completely upfront. My business is going awesome. My husband, we're all on the same page, but we do have some tricky stuff with one of my 3 teens. So I'm working on really identifying how can I best serve. And there's another book for you that's called On Fire by O'Leary. His last name's O'Leary. And he speaks about an incredible journey of absolute, I'll just put it out there, devastation that he went through, and how he overcame so much. And he's now a speaker. He was a speaker at the conference in the business I'm in. And one of the key things that he would say is, what more can I do? So when you're at a pause in your life and you're thinking, oh, this is so, what more can I do? Because own it. Own it. You're getting it for a reason. So whatever part that's troubling you, if anybody wants to share, I'll just wait a minute in case there is somebody that does. And if there isn't, that's okay too. Nope.
For me, it's, I need to work on delegating and outsourcing. I'm been from a very young age. My mother left my biological father when I was very young. And I think from that young age, I was like, I'm not going to depend on anyone, because we had some hardships when I was 4, my brother was 2. Yeah, it was tough. So I think I took on a mindset where it's like, I'm not relying on anyone. No one's going to stop me. I'll be responsible. I'll make it happen. But as you get in business and you're trying to grow and expand, you can't do it all anymore. So for me, I got to learn to delegate more, outsource, trust. Yeah.
Honestly, Christine, that is so aware. Like, good for you to know even the background of why you are the way you are, right? Like, that's just brilliant. And when you do that, you can also, what I was going to say for anyone else who has different things that they're struggling with, you can then start something. It's called basically the book of, and I'm trying to remember the exact term, but if you start explaining why it is good. So let's just say, I'll give an example. So the fact that I'm struggling with I'll just say my side of it. So with schooling, so I can say, you know what, I am a nurturing parent though. I look after my family the best I can. So it's that whole rampage of appreciation of where you are, and then focusing on where you're going. So, okay, so although I'm this, and this, it's still positive. I know I'm now focused on let's say delegating more, or I know that that was my past story. I've rewritten it in my journal, and this is where I'm headed. I got these great assistants. I got this, and get like whoever's, I think it was Deborah who said, get excited, get like celebrate, get excited about it, because that brings it faster. We don't have to go through the slow route, right? Like, and I'll give an example too. When I was playing badminton with my son, and this may sound way out there, I tend to do that, just my personality. But when I was playing badminton, we were like hitting it, and the bird was going really high. And I'm like, okay, let's get to 25. We're setting an okay goal. And he goes, let's do 100. So we went to whatever, and we kept hitting it. And it was so much harder, slower. Like, it was like the way we had to aim our rocket, we had to like get under it, we had to watch the wind might take it. Whereas when we went back and forth a bit faster with encouragement, it was so much easier. So when you grab that part that you know you're trying to work on, just know the speed at which you embrace it is the speed is basically the resolutions will come at that speed. And when you do that, you go, you know what, this feels good. Just don't get too scared when things shift really quickly, because they can, and it's exciting, but it's also a little scary. So we'll try.
Did anybody else want to share? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did anyone else want to share? I think Maria came off before. Nope.
Yeah, my computer died, so I had to move. Sorry, I don't know what we're sharing.
Oh, we're just sharing any kind of like the hardest thing you feel like you're dealing with right now, so that we can, because when we're aware of it, then we can move through it and find solutions for it. It's when we deny it and put it to the side and pretend that it's not there, that we can't really embrace the changes that are waiting for us to live up to owning what is back there, if you know what I mean. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it for me is I take on too much, not realizing I don't have the time for everything. So I do that. So I have to figure out how to schedule everything in, because then I don't have my self-care time.
How to schedule or how to say no?
Both, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Maria, that actually lends me to the very last strategy. It's like idea, perfect. And that is just knowing your core values. So when you have 4, and this is from a course I took with Darren Hardy, and it is absolutely huge. In 4 boxes on a piece of paper, put the minimum of 3, but 4 of your absolute core values that you wouldn't want life without it. So let's say it's your partner, let's say it's your kids, your business, and your travel, or whatever those 4 things are. If there's stuff coming in that you've been asked to do, and this is what he talks about too, it's really quite interesting and fascinating. As things come in, they have to fit in those 4. They have to be beneficial for one of those 4 core values. So let's say one of them, self-care, self-love, self-care, exercise, nutrition, holistic living, and meditation, gratitude, all that, the miracle morning. Let's say that's one, because you can't function without it. So health and wellness is one. We've all learned that pretty in the hard way, right? So that, and then let's say our business, our entrepreneurial venture, or our job, and then our family, or whatever those 4 are, when you have them down, be specific too about what you enjoy about those and why they are important, why they're so good for you and why you're so good with them. If you want to like really embrace it, like look at each and really feel that. If the stuff that is coming at you doesn't serve one of those 4 in a really profound way, it's a no. And it's not rude. It's just, I have to actually, and you can say it really well. You can say, right now I'm really doing some big time prioritizing. So I have to really say no at this time, but I really thank you for the invitation. And that just, and that's powerful, right? That's owning our power. But anyway, I'm not actually coaching on this call. I'm just sharing some ideas, but yeah, so the extra would be always expect the best. Always. If you're not expecting the best for you and you're the divine of who you stand in, you're here for a reason. You're here because you're meant to be here. And if you're expecting things not to work out and you're hearing that self-talk of, oh, this happened before, so it's going to happen again, or, oh, this person never shows up, or this, it only speaks to your story of what you're affirming. It doesn't speak to anyone else. So expect the best and use the 2 words, this is an extra, perhaps and maybe. So when you start to do that, when you're like, oh, you know what, this just never works out, or I'm really not that great at this, maybe this will work today. Perhaps something will show up for me today that is a gift that I really needed. Like what Christine said, perhaps and maybe lightens it. It's like, this isn't happening, this, I suck at, all that stuff is garbage. Don't bring it into your experience. You don't deserve it. So when you use perhaps and maybe, it can help you. So that's the starting your day off right, continuing your day well, beginning from well before your day starts. So I hope that it provided enough value. I have no idea what time it is. If there's any questions, maybe we could do that.
We're doing super awesome. It's 2:23, or your home, you guys, it's 1:23. So yeah, we have 7 minutes for Q&A. That's great.
Awesome. Thank you for listening too. I really appreciate your.
Ladies, feel free to unmute yourselves. And if there's something you wanted to go back over, she mentioned several books. The Energy Bus. You also mentioned Dr. Joe Dispenza, but you didn't say there was a book from him, did you?
Yeah, there's 2. Start with Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's like, it's a big one. It's deep. And definitely the meditation side is hugely important. Second one is Becoming Supernatural. Great title, eh?
Okay, awesome. Did anybody have any questions, or I'm definitely going to ask you what your aha or your golden nugget was, but if you had any questions that you wanted to ask, or things you wanted to reinforce about any of her suggestions, or her 3 or 4 strategies, please feel free to ask us.
You mentioned the 5 minutes in the morning, the miracle morning. Is that a book as well?
It is. I'm so sorry, I can't remember who is the author. There might be somebody that knows that. It's right here on my, I can tell you what the 5 things are, but I for whatever reason, I can't recall the name of the person. I'm sorry, but you can look that up for sure. Miracle Morning.
Yeah, I could Google it.
Yeah.
I have, oh, there she has it. She has the book, but who's it from? The name of the author?
Yeah, can you see? It's Hal
Elrod.
He was at one of our conferences too. He was just incredible, incredible. Yeah.
Also, I'm wondering if you have any tips on meditation. I've tried doing it. I get so distracted easily. I don't know if there's something, a recording that you recommend, or?
Right now, I would say, I know for people who just begin, the Headspace app is a really good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
The one I'm in right now is with Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's pretty, I would recommend the book with it. And I'm in a book club with my team, with part of the Side Sisters with it. But Dr. Joe's got some great meditations. Even Googling Louise Hay, I find her affirmations and any kind of that music really therapeutic. So if you're having trouble though doing more than a couple of minutes, 5 deep breaths every time you eat a meal, and quiet the mind. Just actually feel the breath go in and out 3 times a day is a good start.
It's interesting because Maria, I can't really get in a meditative state either. Well, your typical laying on the floor, sitting on the chair.
Exactly,
but,
yeah.
However, I do get into a deep meditative state when I run, and I love it. So maybe you just have to change the way you're thinking about meditation.
Yeah, I
who
think
says you have to lay on the floor? And who says you have to sit with your legs crossed, right? Find what works for you. But yeah, I can get into like a trance when I run, and I'm like, oh, I just finished 3.5K, got from here to here, and it's also the time when I'm most creative. So anyway,
That's
My
amazing,
suggestion.
Christine.
That's great. Yeah. Do you listen to something when you do it, or you just?
No, I don't listen to anything. I just clear, you know what? The first kilometer I'm in pain usually. My body's like, what the hell? No. And then I just let myself go. And creative juices start flowing. I forget about the million things I got to do for the family, all the hundreds of things I've got to do for work. And it's just, yeah, I don't listen to music, safety reasons, but
Mhm.
I-
That's good.
I'm
You-
sorry,
One.
but I need to run. This was really, really great. And I'm so excited to be part of this group. And this is my first event. So thank you, Susan, for your insights. My aha moment was always expect the best from it. Like, I think you said everything or yourself, because that's something that I don't do. So that was like, well, that's a good nugget. So I'm going to keep that.
Awesome.
So
Thanks for
yeah.
joining.
Thank you very much. Okay. See you later. Bye.
thanks, Teresa.
Bye.
Bye.
Maria, there's one other thing that I would strongly recommend. It was through a forest meditation when I walked bare feet through a forest with a group. And she had mentioned that when you breathe, when you breathe in, there's a little wee gap between the breath in and the breath out. And actually, if you try it now, like breathing in, there's a little wee space. If you focus on the space, that's like the divine.
Oh,
You'll feel it. You won't believe what'll happen as you breathe in and breathe out. There's a little wee gap. And if you can just focus on that for 2 minutes, you'll be amazed, I think.
so hold your breath or just
No,
focus on.
sorry, it's breathing
Okay.
in. So from the belly all the way up the chest through the neck. And then out the nose too. But you'll feel that when you're going in to out, there's a little wee shift when you're doing that, right? You're breathing in, and then just as before you go, you breathe out, is a little wee space. Focus on it. Every time you breathe, follow your breath. And as you're going out, focus on that little space and try it. And let me know what happens if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Did Deborah and Deborah and Maria, did you want to share an aha moment? A little golden nugget from today?
Yeah, I like the rewrite your story.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
I got a lot of notes.
me too. I think I wrote everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It's the little things. I think you have to rewrite my routine. I'm not a morning person, and I often wake up behind the 8 ball. So I definitely have to work on that.
Yeah, same here. I'm not a morning person either. And I know everyone says that you get the most out of you have to be up at 5 a.m. and get everything done before 8 a.m. And so that's when you get your best workout.
I don't go to bed till 2 though. So how the heck am I going to do that?
I would not recommend getting up at 5 if you're in bed at 2, but I can't imagine staying up till 2. So it's just,
Yeah.
I'm in bed by 9, so.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of the gist of the miracle morning, is adjusting your time. And it's like getting up at 5, and that's your own time, and reflecting and all that kind of stuff.
but you know what? Don't start there. Like, start getting up. If you get up at 9 or 8, just try 7:30.
Yeah.
Just have an extra half hour for your personal development and for you.
Mhm.
Then the universe goes, wow, she really cares about herself. Like,
Mhm.
if wow, she's really looking after what's important to her.
Mhm.
And do that for a couple of months.
I'm laughing because in my new digs here, I have limited space, and I've got my yoga mat. I do stretches in the morning, and my new little puppy comes and sits on my head. I get a good laugh out of it, starts my day in a positive way, but it's like, oh, routine kind of out the window.
You got to build a new one, right, Deborah?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. That was really great. You have high energy. I feel just elevated just
so
from
glad.
hearing you speak, and the excitement you have, the zest. That's just wonderful. It's really what I needed. Even though I'm like on vacation and we're partying and just having a great time, there's that pick me up. That was wonderful.
Well,
And So again, thank you very much. When the recording is done, I will upload it to YouTube, and then I'll send out an email later with a link if you want to refer back to it. I do have the contact information that you all posted in the chat. I will copy and paste that out and put it in the email that I send out as well. So you guys, gals, can connect with the contact information that was shared. How does that sound, ladies?
Great. Thank you so
Awesome.
much,
Thank you.
Christine. And thank you,
You're
Susan.
welcome.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet the rest of you.
Yes,
All
same.
We'll see you next week. We have a session on the 26th, and that should be good. It's all about internet security, how we can
Oh, nice.
improve our internet security for home and business. So she's going to share us tips with us, even if we're low techie people. So
Yeah.
I
Is that
consider myself high app tech, but low technology tech. So I'm looking forward to learning.
Is that at the same time, Christine?
It's 12:30 and it's on the 26th. So it's on a Thursday, but they're all at 12:30.
Okay. And how do we join that? Like, are you sending a link out in the,
They're all in
On
if you go to Facebook, they're all
Yeah.
Facebook events.
okay,
If you
Okay.
go to MAWB.ca to events, they're all there as well. And what was it yesterday? I sent out the whole list. So
Yeah.
you can see them all. Yeah. So Deborah, if you're on our mailing list, then if you didn't see it in your inbox, please check your spam folder or your other folder, or if you're in Gmail, it's called promotional folder. Find the email from the MAWB and then just add it to your address book so that they don't go there anymore. They stay up here in your
Okay.
inbox.
okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Susan, excellent job. Thank you so much. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Christine, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining the live. It's always nice to actually interact.
Yep.
It's great. Thank you.
Okay,
And
thanks.
celebrate
weekend.
Deborah Day. You got lots to celebrate.
Thank you.